You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 185. So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us. Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome back to another episode of the So Now What podcast. I hope you had an awesome World Childless Week. If you had an opportunity to catch the webinar that I moderated on Saturday, it was on fire. If you missed it, you can go to the link in my bio. I put a replay on it, or you can go to the World Childless Week YouTube channel and catch the replay there. But it is so worth listening to. I am just so amazed by the conversation that we had. I didn't talk about this on the webinar, but actually 3 of the women on the panel are alumni of Thrive After Infertility. So it was just a beautiful moment for me to see how they have flourished, to see how they speak about the journey that they have been through to recreate their identity, and just seeing them on the screen in their brilliance. When the webinar ended, I literally closed my computer and was just a whole puddle of tears, just feeling so proud of them. Because I remember each of them, our first Thrive call, and remembering the goals that they had created for themselves and just seeing them shine through, and the way that they spoke about how they recreated themselves and their identity. I am just like so in love with the power of what they have created with their lives. So make sure you watch the replay, because if you have ever questioned your identity as somebody who is childless, you're going to get a lot out of it. So let's talk about something that came to me after having this conversation with them, and the shame that comes with being childless, and the prison that we create sometimes for ourselves, because shame is that heavy feeling deep in your body that whispers, something is wrong with me. This feeling that you need to hide, that you are on blast when somebody looks at you, or that they're judging you when they see you. You know, shame is something that goes really deep. It convinces you that you are the problem. If you can relate, listen in. This podcast episode is for you, because being childless after infertility, I'm willing to bet that you have felt this kind of shame. Shame for a body that didn't reproduce. Shame for not measuring up to the woman who could. Shame for believing that your husband or your partner got let down, or imagining that they would have been better off marrying somebody other than you. Shame for not giving your parents a grandchild. Maybe shame that your siblings have kids, and because of you, they don't have cousins, that your family name or your legacy of your family is going to stop with you. Shame is so multifaceted, but what a lot of people don't understand, shame is optional. Shame is not required. Shame is not a part of you that needs to be there forever. But I get it. It might feel automatic. It might feel like it is just stitched into your identity. But shame is optional. It's a story that your brain has learned to tell from a culture that often equates womanhood with motherhood. And just because that story might seem really loud to you, because that is what you thought being childless after infertility, or childless not by choice, just is, you can tell yourself right now, this is not true. You didn't choose infertility. You didn't choose to be childless, but you can choose to stop carrying shame. Okay, like let's just decide this now. And I want you to start by thinking about a time that shame has crept in. Maybe you feel shame when you get that pregnancy announcement and you think to yourself, why couldn't that be mine? Maybe shame when your partner is over at a friend's house and you're meeting your friend's baby for the first time and you see the way that he is holding that baby. Or maybe when you're with your nieces and nephews or friends' kids and you see how your partner is playing with the kids and you think to yourself, he'll never have that because of me. They'll never be able to experience their role as a parent because of me. How about shame that you even feel jealousy for a friend getting to have a baby and you not, or jealous that they get to announce a pregnancy and you never will? The shame that comes along with feeling like, oh my gosh, I let my parents down. Or, my parents, like this is true for me, like my in-laws never were grandparents. And I thought that it was because of me that they didn't. So shame shows up as this little voice in your head, which oftentimes feels really believable. And those sentences that keep circling in your head and telling you that you should feel shameful for not being able to have kids is not something that you have to continue listening to. And where you can start to work through this is realizing those sentences are not facts. They are not factual information. They are thoughts, often accepted into our belief system through cultural identities, through cultural reiterations of what a woman is. And when you realize that you can start to begin to notice those thoughts that pop in for what they are, that they're not the truth, you can create space to respond to them differently. So I'm going to tell you honestly, shame was one of the hardest things for me to shake. When my fertility journey ended, I thought it was just part of who I was. I still remember that day that my doctor called me to tell me the results of my embryo testing, and that after those 7 years of cycles and procedures, that my only frozen embryo had chromosomal abnormalities. I just thought, you know what? This is who I am. I hung up the phone feeling like my body had failed me one more time. And that night, I remember that I just didn't know that I could ever feel proud of who I was. I write about it in chapter 1 of my book, So Now What? If you haven't read my book, I encourage you to read it, because in there I share with you what that moment felt like when I got that news from my reproductive endocrinologist, when those 7 years of hope and trying and praying and positive thinking and all the blah, blah, blahs that come with going through fertility treatments felt like they unraveled. I had an extraordinary amount of shame thinking that Jack should have married somebody else, that somebody other than me would have been able to give him his dream of fatherhood. I felt like I had failed him as his partner, like I had failed my parents, like I had failed myself. And that's what shame does. It convinces you that infertility is a personal failure. But here's what I have learned since, that none of those thoughts that I had were actual facts. They were shame stories in my brain that I had picked up from a culture that equates a woman's value to her ability to have children. And once I started challenging those thoughts, I realized that I could write a different story for my life, and you can too. Imagine what shifts when shame is no longer running the show. You can walk into a room without scanning for it to see who has the kids. You can notice instead who shares the love that you have for your life, for your travel, for your accomplishments, for your music, for your university, for your alma mater. You can sit with your partner and know that the value in your relationship is not about how many eggs fertilized. It's not about how many children you are able to bear. You can lean into the love and the loyalty and the relationships and the life that you are creating. You can go into family holidays feeling grounded so that you can feel like you are part of your family. Share stories, create memories beyond what comes in tow with a child, and stop shrinking under the weight of, I didn't give them a cousin, a child, a grandchild. That version of you is not a fantasy. That version of you, somebody who feels grounded who they are without children, already exists within you. She is the version of you who has learned that her worth was never tied to reproduction in the first place. But you might say, yeah, that sounds great. So how do I get there? All right, well, let's talk about 4 steps that you can practice to release shame and reclaim your life as a woman who is childless. Step 1, it all starts with separating the facts from stories. The fact might be, I don't have biological children. That fact is neutral. The story that you create is layered on top of that. The story that tells you not having children means I failed. So when you separate facts from the stories that you are automatically creating, then you are able to see that the facts don't hurt you. It's the thought about the facts that create that drama in your brain. And when you can identify the story, you can begin to rewrite it. So you can feel lighter, you can feel freer. Step 2, talk back to the shame. Shame, it just continues to grow and continues to thrive in silence. And that moment that you give a voice to your shame, the moment you give it a voice back, its grip loosens. So when you hear, I let my husband down because he couldn't be a dad, you can answer something like, my worth as a partner has nothing to do with my uterus. When you hear, I couldn't give my in-laws grandchildren, you can answer, I'm still a really, really great daughter-in-law, and they are so proud of me. So talking back to these thoughts of shame can allow you to stand steady in who you are, so you can stop letting shame decide the narrative. Step 3, choose your headline. Like, think of a newspaper, think of an article in Substack, or wherever you read news, on your TV, whatever it is. Choose your headline. If you don't decide how you're going to define yourself, shame's going to do it for you. So instead of walking into a room as the woman who didn't get what she wanted, the woman who couldn't have kids, choose a headline that reflects the fullness of you. I am an amazing woman. I am adventurous. I am creative. I'm a loyal friend. I'm building a life I love. When you choose the headline, you shift how you see yourself. And when you do that, you can be experienced by others in the way that you want to be, as someone who is vibrant, someone who is a whole woman already as you are. Step 4, live in your values. Shame tells you that you are incomplete, that you have done something terribly wrong, that you should be hiding, that you should have your head in the sand. But when you live from your values, you are then able to prove to yourself every single day that you are already whole. If kindness is a value of yours, show it. If growth excites you, pursue it. If adventure lights you up, go find it. Living in your values puts you back in the driver's seat of your life so that you can feel proud of the life that you are creating. So here's what I want you to carry with you from today's episode. Shame does not mean you failed. Shame means that you cared a lot about something that didn't happen the way that you hope. That care is love, and that love is still yours. So you don't have to keep carrying shame around like a scarlet letter. You can put it down. You can walk lighter. You can show up with more confidence so that you can create connection without shrinking. So you can live life as the full, worthy, and whole woman that you are. Because shame is optional. So I love you. I hope you have a beautiful week. And remember that it is never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week. Hey, real quick, I just want to tell you about an awesome resource I created. If you have ever found yourself in conversations with people, or maybe people offering you suggestions about what you should do to become a mom, it's called The Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless and How to Respond. You can get your copy free at lanamanikowski.com/things people say.